welkom heten bij onze Peers Professionals, de derde series, The Future of Suriname. Vandaag is een bijzondere avond. We hebben een powerhouse van all-female panelleden en een female moderator. Ik wil jullie introduceren aan Mahogany Nede en zij gaat het verder geleiden.
Thank you, Natalie. I don't know if you've been informed, but the whole panel discussion tonight is in English because one of our speakers is more comfortable in English. So I'll start in English right now. So again, good evening, business professionals, entrepreneurs, young people. And it's good to see everyone looking very sharp tonight. Thank you again for joining us as we embark on a series of presentations today focused on a topic that's rapidly transforming our national outlook: Suriname's emerging oil and gas industry. We stand at a critical juncture where the first production revenues are expected in 2028. We're on the brink of a historic shift. Discoveries already have shown that corporations are positioning themselves and that Suriname will be a significant player in the global energy landscape. There's estimates made that there will be reserves of over 2 billion barrels of oil and millions of monetary revenue, which is a definite game changer for our economy. But tonight, it's not just about the oil revenues. We're going to discuss what we do before this boom. How do we prepare our people? How do we prepare businesses? And how do we prepare our society to fully benefit from this opportunity? Before we go into the presentations, the organization has asked me to share a few house rules, which is one, to please keep your phones on silent, because we want to give our speakers their undivided attention. The whole session will be recorded, so you may be caught on screen. There's coffee and tea in the room, yes, so just so you know. No weird angles, just so you know. And, of course, there's time for questions, but only until the end. Please write down your questions. We really want to spark the discussion, but we have to wait till the end. And for me, the most important rule: please enjoy yourselves, please relax. It's not as formal as we're starting. It's still a professional space, but relaxed. Let's share, let's learn, even have a few laughs. So tonight's discussion: Suriname's oil and gas as a catalyst for development. Exploring the economic prospects, but also the human impact. Through the different presentations tonight, we'll be discussing oil and gas for development, preparedness of local small and medium businesses, and more importantly, what will this rapid change mean for our emotional well-being? And to start us off tonight, I am so honored to welcome Ms. Vandana Gangaram Panday. Vandana is the director of the Staatsolie Hydrocarbon Institute, responsible for Staatsolie's regulatory duties. With a background in petroleum engineering and mineral law and policy, she has held different roles in corporate planning, commercial, and petroleum contracting through Staatsolie value chain for the past 20 years. Vandana comes with a very seasoned experience in the oil and gas industry, even though she does not want to keep saying oil and gas. Her presentation will focus on oil and gas as a catalyst. Please, a warm round of applause for Vandana.
So, thank you, Mahogany. Thank you, everybody, for being present and for the invite, peers. Let me see how I do this correctly. Indeed, actually, this is the title of the whole session, or the invite I got: The Future of Suriname and Oil and Gas as a Catalyst. I added for, because catalyst for what? So that's maybe the whole, the red line of the presentation I'll just give. I have to keep it short, so you cut me when time is up. Actually, the slide, for most people who don't know me, I think in this room, it reflects me, black and white, and a bit boring. That's the slide. Okay, this is on the request of the peers, guys. Maybe good to remind ourselves about the legal framework of the oil and gas sector in Suriname. Because how did we come where we are today? I think many of us either don't know or have forgotten because we're a bit young. This started in 1980 when Staatsolie was established, but it wasn't established for fun. In fact, the Constitution of Suriname already states that natural resources should be developed for the, and it's a whole long sentence, economic, social, and cultural development of Suriname. It's one sentence, but it's very important because it provides the foundation based on which then the mining law further builds. So this is the Constitution. It's not unique, by the way. Almost all countries in the world have the same. There are two which are a little bit different, but there are so 190 countries who say this in their Constitution. Now, the mining decree, 1986, builds on this. The sequence is not right, but that happens because from independence we had a coup and then we needed a new constitution, etc. The mining decree says it distinguishes 5 minerals, one of which is hydrocarbons. And for hydrocarbons, the mining law says that only state enterprises can obtain concession rights. This is different for gold, yeah, where gold and I think, yeah, bauxite, foreign companies can directly get concession rights. That's not the case for the hydrocarbons because of the mining law, which says, first of all, it's strategic, and therefore only state enterprises can hold the concession rights. Now, the petroleum law further builds on that, you know, lex specialis for the lawyers in the room. So the petroleum law now takes that principle and puts the rules under which state enterprises Staatsolie was established. Staatsolie is the state enterprise which holds all hydrocarbon concession rights in Suriname. And, oops, did I do something? No? Anyway, Staatsolie therefore has the right, by law, petroleum law, to enter into petroleum agreements with third parties. Now, who are these third parties? International oil companies, right? So that's all set in the petroleum law, and it further specifies the how and the blah, blah, blah. Further, now Staatsolie does this work and enters into petroleum agreements with third parties, so that's at the bottom over there, and the model we have chosen, it's called production sharing contract. It's a certain way in which the host authority, to Staatsolie, attracts investment and shares, yeah, the pie, and the oil in this case. Okay, so this is a bit of the base. So for the past 45 years, we've been working according to this legal framework, and today we have, at the moment in the offshore, 15 production sharing contracts, or 16 production sharing contracts based on this, right? All established by law. It's been a while. We've been working this for a long time. Onshore, Staatsolie is the operator. We operate Saramacca. It was too small for anybody else to be interested. Yeah, they wouldn't make, international companies were not interested. They wouldn't make a profit. We have been making profits now for 45 years, and we have, contributed in the past 40 years about $4 billion to the state budget over time, right? And in the meantime now, we are at the first time we have a offshore development project. So I'll go, oh, did I do this? No. Even kijken. Ik moet even eentje terug. Nou, I'm not sure. Apparently this thingy doesn't want to work, but maybe you want to bring it one slide back. I'll just continue. So now, even kijken, revenues. So actually, what's oil? Oil is money, and maybe that's part of the problem. It's not development. It can become development. Oil is money, and if you look at the government revenues, this is not the GDP, when we get back one slide. When we look at the government revenues of Suriname today, now, and you look at what will happen starting 2028, only based on the GranMorgu project, only, I say only GranMorgu, then you already see that growth in government revenues is factor 3. It doubles. And this is, GranMorgu is 750 million barrels, right? This is proven, but for the geologists in the room, of course, you have contingent resources. It usually grows. And by the way, we are working in many more blocks, And we foresee many more, but for conservative reasons and to keep myself safe, I've kept at only Granmoor because that's now under development. Exactly. So the gray bars are the government revenues. And yes, it comes from IMF source until 2027. From 2028 onwards, we have taken the historical trend. So that's the baseline with the historical growth rate to forecast. And then the yellow bars are Granmoorgo. You see the drop, it's very normal. Oil goes like this, it produces, it has a plateau, and then it declines. Well, I happen to be in a position where I know we will fill the gap because, yeah, there is more, okay? But that's not yet committed. So there is more, and it will grow, and it's not only Granmoorgo, there are more blocks, but we work them step by step. Okay, so what's the message here? Yeah. Right now, Staatsolie, without Granmoorgo, is contributing between 30 and 35% of government revenues. It's a lot, and we only produce 6 million barrels a year. We're small, okay? We're small, we're tiny. But big for Suriname. Granmoorgo is gonna produce in its peak 72 million barrels a year. So just for you to get an order of magnitude, right? That's the order of magnitude. You see a few funny things in the graph, like 2015 to 19. Don't worry, it goes down. That was the devaluation, Suralco exit, COVID, etc. Okay, let's go now to the slide that is a busy one, but actually the message is we were talking about oil and money, right? Oil as a catalyst for, actually it's money first. So what do you want to do with the money, and what do we need to develop as a country? If you have money, you need people, okay? So this slide is actually about people, quantity, and quality of people. So the upper left graph is a recent outcome of a labor, demand, and supply study by IDB. You can find it online. It's from July last year. It's a thick 300-page report. What does it say? And unfortunately, this labor market needs did not into account the oil and gas sector and its future for strange reasons, if I can say so, but whatever. It's there, at least for now, okay, but it's the current market. Then you see primary or less, we have much more, like twice as much supply than demand. Secondary, more or less the same. Tertiary, huge gap, right? So this is what we are producing, this is us, Suriname, right? We need to push primary to secondary and secondary to tertiary. This is not a simple task. This has been, yeah, I would say, quality of education and education in general over decades. That's a problem. Then you look at our size as a country. Population, 630,000, working age, 420,000. The labor force participation rate is only 60%. It means 40% in this age group do not work, but they are in the, in the working age. Then we all know, how do we measure this? You can debate whether the numbers are right, but informal sector, this is in the study recent of the IDB and World Bank sources, they say about 50% of our economy is of our labor force is in the informal sector, and then there is 35% in the government sector. So what's left? You see, what's left to be a competitive economy, to do more work, okay? Right? So we have money, we need people, we don't have enough, and we don't have the right levels to say so, or the skills. So at the bottom, it's just to give another perspective, right side on the bottom, what you see, countries with our GDP per capita, what is their secondary school completion rate? We are the lowest. What a shame, sorry. Toch? 40% is our lower secondary school completion rate for countries that have the same GDP. That is the XS. So it's bad. Then you look at the tertiary school enrollment. We are the dot, right? We are the orange kind of dot. 10%? So if you look at the first, the left upper hand, and you look at this, we have a problem. Okay? It's not oil and gas. This problem is education and workforce. Okay. By the way, Guyana, when talking about size, last week in Oil Now, what it is called, There was an article with the Vice President, Jack Deo, saying that they will now go for the more policy-driven migration policy, by design, instead of what has been happening now. And he said they need, a storm study said they need 160,000 people in the workforce. They have 800,000 people as a population, we have 600. They need, this is what's coming, right, for Suriname. That's one. And also, okay, another nice thing is they say they want to bring 100,000 females which are not in the workforce there, in the workforce in Guyana. So that's just to give you an idea about how are we thinking about this already, right? By design or by default, what will happen? Good. Then we now go to the oil curse. Hoe gaat het met de tijd? Je maakt grap. Okay, we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip this one. We're gonna take this one for the, hoe heet het? The panel. Okay? Just skip this one. Just skip this one. This is good for the panel discussion. You guys must have heard from the Dutch disease, resource curse, oil curse. There's a little bit theory about it, but that's, I think, not, but it's important, but not as a slide. Scenarios for Suriname. So what was this about? Oil and gas as a catalyst for. So what? What catalyst for what? We'll have money. Do we have people? What else do we need to be a developed country, you know? Okay, these are two axes here. On the x-axis, you see resource development. We are now moderate, limited moderate. For sure, we are going to the right? We're going to strong, at least. Remember the number, Suriname, we now produce 6 million barrels a year. In Gramorgo in its peak, it's 72, right? Million barrels a year. So just imagine. So we are going for sure that way. On the y-axis, we have social political self-discipline. What does this mean? As a society, how do we function? Yeah, how do we function as a society? So if we become better, we value clarity, we have an active debate around vision, policy choices, for example, around education and population. And what do we have in common, and what can we commit to long term that does not start again every 5 years because of an election cycle, right? So that is the y-axis. If it becomes worse, however, we prefer negotiated ambiguity, corruption, populism, that's what flourish if you go down from the social political self-discipline. Now the debate would be, where are we now, okay? You see a blue, on a loop. This is what we were thinking. In 2006, we were thinking with some scenario consultants at Staatsolie, it happened to be. And then we said from 1975, from independence to 2006, when we did this is how we went. Niet geweldig toch, want je wil omhoog. Je wil omhoog op die EA's. But what are the scenarios? Oil and gas as a catalyst. We can go to a managed boom or to chaotic bonanza. Those are the two arrows you see on the right. And in any case, what does it mean, a chaotic bonanza? That the political system cannot control the events. The events of a lot of sudden money without being prepared, and my the co-speakers will touch upon the wider space. So quickly, what does it really mean? If you want to be if Suriname wants to become a managed boom or to be a managed boom, functioning democracy, I know it's abstract, but it's really a well-established functioning democracy with checks and balances, transparency, accountability, and no corruption. You just need that. Otherwise, money is not development, right? And else, if you have further weakening political institutions, you get instability by default. If we do nothing, by default, it goes wrong. That's how it is in the world. That's what the literature says, unless you are already a well-established functioning democracy. I'm going to stop here with one quote. So when we did this study, and it's been a while, because we've been thinking for this for quite a long time. So this consultant says, Suriname's politics are about negotiated settlements. It's in no one's interest to examine the issues too closely. I mean, we should think about this. What do we want to be, you know? Is this what we want to continue, negotiated settlements, right? It's all of us, it's the society, right? Do we value clarity or do we value negotiated ambiguity. It's all the same since independence. Okay, then I'm a few minutes late.
Thank you very much, Vandana. What stuck with me really was, are we going into a managed boom or a chaotic bonanza? So please write that down, because that might spark some discussion later on in the evening. So as we look ahead, we're going to continue, and this may give some answers as well. We're going to look at another side of the coin, because with every boom comes pressure. Pressure on our systems, pressure on our communities, and on our people. For our next presentation, I'm delighted to invite Ms. Erika van der Mark. Erika is the founder of Truthversation, a holistic internal development company which is dedicated to emotional clarity, inner leadership, and authentic human connection. Erika bridges the gap between personal healing and professional leadership, offering tools and services to individuals and organizations for growth, inside and out. She has over 10 years of experience in her field and has quietly supported individuals through different walks of life. She knows that as we step into this oil and gas era, the question that really lies ahead, are we ready and emotionally resilient to navigate this change with wisdom? Please, asking a round of applause for Erika as she goes into her presentation, Are we emotionally ready for a change?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to take an emotional route. I'm going to tap into the emotions and see how you feel about what we're going into. Imagine waking up one day and recognizing that the life you created and the life you want, the things you love doing and the people you love doing it with, you no longer can. Not because everything's gone, but because you simply can't afford it. The things that you wanted to be doing is no longer possible because everything changed with the oil and gas. They say when the pressure drops in the airplane that we should first put on our oxygen mask. At this moment, I'm not sure if you guys are realizing it, but the pressure is on and we're feeling it. But are we really ready to handle what's coming? If we look at Venezuela for our history, and we look at Guyana as a live mirror, we will see, I just want to touch on 2 points because I have 6 minutes. Venezuela have a poverty rate that went from 32% to 95% in just 8 years. And this is possible for Suriname as well. And if we look at Guyana, it is very sad to say that they have the most highest suicidal rates in all of the Americas, rating at 326 per year. That means people are going through so much in their internal worlds and they don't know how to navigate it. And the problems that people are facing, we simply don't have enough health workers to actually manage that, to help them, to guide them. So Suriname, because, and I'm happy that Vandana said it as well, our education level here is still the 8th year, which means that most of the population hasn't had the opportunity to develop themselves to think strategically, to think long-term basis, to handle things in a way that is necessary for us to be able to handle the oil and gas. And this is something that we need to be aware of, and that's why I started, are we emotionally ready to deal with what's coming when we can't afford it, or the people we love most can't afford it, and they go through a lot of mental health issues because they can't handle their emotions. So there is inner work that needs to get done because things will rapidly change. If we look at Guyana, again as a live mirror, then you will see that when oil hit, the expats flooded the country. And everyone that had resources, so restaurants, hotels, and people, landowners, they raised their prices for the foreigners leaving the locals left to, to their own consequence of not having enough to be able to afford it, right? So it's about us asking. I'm not standing here to motivate anyone in any way only, but more as holding up a mirror for what we really need to do internally. Because we don't want to be the ones that can't progress when the oil comes. We want to be able to handle it. And that means we need to look at ourselves and where we stand, and what is the internal work that needs to get done so we can compete globally with the expats that will be coming here. I had to ask myself the question, personally as well. Erika, are you even ready when the oil and gas hit? Is your company ready to handle where it's going next? And there's a few things that I had to look for myself. Awareness, what is going on within me? Where am I? How am I handling my business? How am I putting my business? Am I positioning myself? But also what's happening in the economy and what's happening with the people that I'm actually catering to. And I had to self-regulate, check what I'm doing and not doing correctly, and actually position myself in a way that I will be able to cater and go against the international market. Let me say the international market. And all of us need to be doing this, realigning ourselves with the mission that we have, with the purpose that we feel that we want to accomplish, and actually set up ourselves and our business to align on another scale. And last but not least, we need to think about the community. Because many people, if we look at Guyana, could actually end up in the space within themselves that they want to take their own life. How will we feel about that? How can we contribute to this? How could we help them not get that far? So the ones who are prepared mentally, emotionally, and professionally will not just survive this shift, they will actually shape it. And we want to be on the end of shaping Suriname in another way that does not resemble Venezuela and Guyana. If you guys would like to take out your phones, I have only 5 minutes, so you guys could snap a picture. Everyone has a company and is in another version of themselves, or their company is at another level. These are some questions that you can ask yourself. Does my business have the structures in place to compete with the global competition that will be coming here? There's different areas you can look at. We have always been functioning with a local mindset, and some of that mindset could be in the unprepared version for what is coming. And if we look at the global competition, they have a structure that we can learn from. And I'm gonna switch. Yeah. And another question that you can ask yourself is, am I truly ready for what's coming, mentally and emotionally? Have you clearly defined what success means to you? And these are important questions to ask, again, because it will relate emotionally to what's coming. Have you asked yourself, how much is your enough? Because the moment that money comes in, we can go into other parts of ourselves like greed and animality, and we would want to go into getting as much as we can. So what is your enough? Did you define that? When prices rise and the pressure increases, will you actually stay true to your values? Or will you go over bodies to get what you want? Do you know your non-negotiables? The things you won't trade for money, power, or even survival. Are you mentally prepared to stay rooted when the community starts to shift under external pressure? There's a challenge and a choice, everyone. This is no longer about you versus your local competition here. This is about us versus the bigger systems that are coming to our country. Define who you are now before someone else defines that for you. And when we rise, because when the economy changes, the most prepared will rise. And I trust all of you to be the ones that are rising. And when you do, ask yourself, who can you support to rise as well? That was my part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Erika. Do you feel emotionally ready?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Do you feel emotionally ready?
I'm working on it.
We're on the same level. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much again, Erika. All right, now we're going into the final presentation. And we're going to now focus again into this critical engine of local development, small and medium businesses. The oil and gas sector brings opportunity, but it also demands readiness and vision. The real question is, how do we prepare our local small and medium enterprises to meet those standards? And to help us answer that question, we will hear from a business that's already successfully partnering with the oil and gas sector in Suriname. Anouk is already looking down and she's like, oh, are you sure it's me? It's with great pleasure to please introduce to you Miss Anouk Kort. After studying medicine at the Utrecht University, Anouk worked in the Netherlands for several years. She returned to Suriname in 2010 to join the family business Health Control. Who here knows Health Control? Vaccination time, good to know that. So that's Anouk right there. Due to growth and expansion, the company split into two entities in 2019. So we have the Health Control Services under Anouk's leadership and Health Control Laboratorium led by her sister Sheila Kort. She now mostly works business to business with a wide range of national and international clients in different sectors. She focuses on reliable service, growth, innovation, and healthcare with a focus on occupational health. Anouk's presentation tonight. Are you tender ready? A warm applause for Anouk.
So, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here. Just like Erika said before, are you mentally ready? Mine is, are you tender ready? So, imagine, you started with that also. Imagine, next week, Monday, we all get an opportunity to get into a tender for a multi-million-dollar contract, right? We all do. The question is, are you ready? And are you tender ready? Okay, so why do we need to have this talk? Because oil and gas demands more than a good product, a good name. Yes, everybody knows health control. Oh, it's such a good name. But the multinationals, they don't know health control. Health what? They don't know anything about health control. So you need to have more than that. If you don't have your documents in order, if you don't have your services in order, you won't be able to get into the tenders and you will lose. By default, you will lose. The multinationals, they are accustomed to a certain way of working, a certain pace. Not I'll call you back or I'll email you back in 2 weeks. They are like tat, you know. I see somebody like, yes. They have a certain pace, a certain service is what they want. The smile, just want. Before we came here, somebody asked me what would you say to people? I said piritifi, smile, right? The certain smile, the surface, that's what they're used to. So we need to know that so that we can give that to them. And the little time, what I said there, when the tender does come, next week, Monday, you get 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, but most of the time it's 2 weeks. And only when the tender gets in, you'll see which documents they want from you. And no, ChatGPT is not gonna help you with that. No. So, I'm gonna talk about pitfalls and challenges, including some we had ourselves. And this is the first one. Thinking that local experience is enough and underestimate the contracts. The multinational clients, they often request certain types of certificates. You don't have to have all, but if you don't have any, you know, they'll look past you. Okay, I forgot the Q, the HSEQ, I'm used to say it in Dutch, the compliance. In Suriname, we just do things. You know, when you see people building They don't have the boots, they don't have a helmet, but with the multinationals, you need to have your PPE, you need to have the HSEQ compliance. The contracts, they won't be in Dutch, they are mostly in English. If you, met een beetje pech, they are in Spanish or something else. So they're in English. They contain legal obligations like the SLA that says, like, for instance, if we call you, you need to be there in 48 hours, or you need to give us the product within 1 week when we pay. If you sign for that, you need to be able to do that. The penalty clauses, if you don't, you're gonna pay. The liability clauses. So always have your contracts checked by a legal professional before signing. And again, ChatGPT is not your legal representative. If you don't have one yet, please go find one tomorrow or something. Well, I saw Sham Narain. Are there any others here? Go find yourself a real legal representative before the shit hits the fan. Okay. Another thing, the compliance. Oh yeah, the compliance audits. We're not used to that before the multinationals came here. When you get the contract, you sign for something. They can come by your company, and they can come and look. You say you do this, but do you really do this? Do you have the documents? So you need to have that all in order. I say a lot of you need, but you really do need. Okay, one other thing is informal communication culture and not being ready for the vendor system. So here in Suriname, I think most of us here are Surinamese. When there is a business or something, you just call the guy over there or send a WhatsApp to that lady, or you say, hey, you can call Cheryl. She'll I'll send her a message. That's the way we work, and it does work locally. But with the multinationals, they use strict vendor systems like SAP and the Ariba. So you can only go through the portal. When you do get a tender next week Monday, it will come through a portal, and you won't be able to tell them, hey, I don't have that document yet. I'm gonna send you in a week. I'm gonna send you later. You won't even be able to contact them, to email or whatever. So you need to have your documents verified and on time. If it says a deadline is Singaporean time, 2 a.m., please look what time that is in Suriname. Don't go say, oh, I thought it was Surinamese time. I'm sorry, because they will disqualify you, or you won't even be able to enter. And the upgrade, oh yeah. Upgrade yourself, upgrade your company, upgrade your people, upgrade your pace. You need to go faster. You need to smile more. Pira TV. That's what they need. No, we're working with okay. Was it? Yeah. Okay. The last two, they told me 5 minutes, and yeah. So the health and safety part, they do have their policies, but don't forget, you need to have one yourself too, and have the compliance, because you can have a document and don't do anything with it, but then it's a dead document. You need to be able to show our people know the health and safety policies, they have training, etc., etc. The incident reporting, that's, okay, I hope everybody knows what that is. If you don't have big incidents, don't go wait till you have a big incident, even the small things, because if you don't have any incident reporting, they'll just think you're like pray, okay, that you're not serious. Even the small things. We ourselves do it online, but you can have, I'm cold, I'm shaking. Yeah. You can have by paper or whatever, but you do need to have your incident reporting. And last but not least, this is a very important one, is misjudging the cash flow. Payment terms, maybe you deliver the service now, but you won't get your money now. It will be 45 days, 90 days. We've even had, and it wasn't a contract, but yeah, things go wrong, and we even had like 6 months, 8 months, and you can tell your people, we haven't been paid yet. go pay no, yeah. In 3 months I'm gonna give you the money because now they haven't paid us yet. It's not gonna work like that. How do we move forward? Assessment. Please do assessment. Where are you right now? What are you missing? Do the internal trainings. Like Erika said, the communication part with your people, the contracts for the people who do the contracts, of course, and compliance. Make sure your people and yourself are compliant. Operational. Check your cash flow planning. If you don't have the money, do something, arrange something. I don't really know, but arrange something, ask somebody. And have your vendor just one more slide. You gave her extra time. Her Vandana, yeah. Have your vendor file in order. At the end of my presentation, I have a slide. You can also take a picture with most of the files you'll need to have. And relationship building, expanding strategic network. And what we as health control see in that is working with local companies. See which local companies are you can partner with, because by yourself it's just you. When you work with others, you're bigger, you're stronger, and you can do way more than just by yourself. So my conclusion, we are playing in a different league now. This requires more discipline, international standards, internal alignment, people readiness, Erika, and above all, action. So I'm going to ask you again, are you ready? Are you tender ready? That was my presentation.
Thank you so much, Anouk. Who is tender ready? Who is tender ready? Do you have a business?
I have a business, a small business, not so big, but
Are you tender ready?
we're working on it to face the standards, the new standards versus the old standards from how it was done 10 years ago, and how it's gonna be in the next 5 or 10 years.
5 to 10 years, 2028. Thank you again, Anouk. So we're all asking ourselves, are we tender ready? So with Anouk, we're closing the session for the presentations and moving into a panel discussion. We're going to build, based off of these presentations, and go now deeper into the different topics. We're going to reflect. I'm going to ask you to write down your questions, discussion topics, as we are going to look at different economic possibilities, but also how we're going to prepare our people, how we're going to prepare businesses, and how we're going to prepare our social systems. May I invite our panel speakers to the stage? It's becoming a bit more formal now. We're going on the stage now. I invite Anouk, Vandana, and Erika. Is there a seating? In the light, you're in the light. No, sit in the front. So just as we prepare, like 1 or 2 minutes, I heard a complaint, it's cold. And our speakers after the presentations are getting a little bit to drink. I invite the audience also, if you need some coffee, get refreshed right now before I go to panel discussion. It's a bit cold. If you're feeling low, get some coffee, get something to drink as we prepare to go into the discussions. Je kunt aan de zijkant hier buiten op de gang, is het toch? Ja. Aan de rechterkant, als je naar buiten loopt op de gang, is er thee en koffie available. We beginnen precies 2 minuutjes weer, dus eigenlijk heel snel. Er was niet eens een break hoor, ik heb het gewoon aangevoeld. Dus ik heb het gewoon aangevoeld, ik denk het is een beetje koud, maar echt 2 minuten. En dat het koffie en thee was. Er is niet. Ja. Oh, je hebt hem al doorgegeven. Ja, dan gaan we gewoon door. Oké, schijnbaar is de bar nog niet geheel open. Dus jammer genoeg gaan we even in dezelfde energy door moeten gaan. En dan straks full energy, wanneer de bar weer open is, verder. We gaan dan beginnen met het panel. Jullie mogen even de microfoons nemen ook. Even kijken als dat werkt en testen. Ik ga Vandana en Erika vragen om een beetje te shuffelen met de microfoon als dat kan. Ja? Alrighty. Oké. Looking at the bigger picture, Suriname is entering the oil and gas sector at a very pivotal moment. With the chance to shape its growth and development model from the ground up, the question is, how do we ensure that this opportunity doesn't benefit just only a few at a certain level, but that it really benefits the entire nation? Vandana, from your perspective and experience in the sector, already working at Staatsolie, how can Suriname really maximize this opportunity for inclusive development, where communities, local businesses, whether small or medium businesses, and society as a whole can be part of the economic benefits?
It's a big question. Gonna have a whole lecture on that only. But I think it comes back to the slide we skipped. So how do you manage a sudden, rather large influx of money as a country, right? And you said inclusive. So this is one of the risks, right? If Erika said, give 2 examples about Venezuela and Guyana. In fact, Venezuela did right at the start. Maybe I wasn't born yet. For people who were there for a long time ago, Venezuela did right. They had the right systems and processes in place. They were the darling of South America, doing very well. And then things changed through a political shift, right? Things changed, and all of a sudden, see where they are now. So there is always this risk, but inclusive means how do you distribute wealth, and how do we make sure it trickles down? Well, actually, I don't like the trickle down. It doesn't work. So it comes back to first functioning democratic institutions where you have citizen participation. It's like what we call a truly functioning democracy. It's not elections every 5 years. That's not a functioning democracy. That's what we do, and then we think, yeah, we'll suffer another 5 years, or maybe not. We don't know, right? Because you don't get a chance to participate really in decision making, in policy making. So that's, I think, the basis of functioning democracy, which will then take care of what do we want as a society, clarity, what do we want, and fair distribution of benefits means that it's not a few, so transparency helps there. So it's very related. Huh? You have transparency, accountability. When politicians need to how you say, accountability afleggen, rekenschap afleggen, then they have to respond. And that's the functioning democracy, which we don't have, right? Because now if you don't like what the government is doing, there's nothing you really can do about it. So that's part of a functioning democracy. Revenue management is part of it, but that is more the economic side, because there is a lot of money all of a sudden. You get the Dutch disease, Guyana failure, the currency is quickly appreciating, and then things are more expensive. I think at some degree it's almost, I probably have to mitigate the effect. I am really afraid you cannot make it zero. In Angola, you have this Big Mac index, and Angola is one of the countries, it's an oil state, and I think a Big Mac in Angola used to be, and it has changed, this was 15 years ago when I was studying, I think $12 or something. So like totally, it's exactly what you were explaining. You cannot pay for it if you're a local citizen. So how do you manage that is by, we have on paper, Suriname has a stabilization and saving funds. Will it work? How does it work? Do we need to change the rules of it? Because it was drafted before we had the oil and gas revenue outlook. And also, in Suriname, people can change laws all of a sudden. We have had this before, right? And then it takes forever to say, oh, this is not a good law. And then it takes another 10 years to change it back. Well, sorry, in the meantime, we won't be there. So I don't have the answer. Well, theoretically, this is the answer. But as Suriname, how do we get that done? If we really want it with political will, and I would think you need society to assert some pressure, positive pressure, in demanding political will to do this right. It can be done. There are many countries, because the root cause of the curse is not the presence of resources, but the absence of functioning institutions. So that's actually the baseline. It's a bit abstract, but that's it, yeah.
To bring it a bit more detail, I want to stick with the part you mentioned. Civic engagement would be one of the ways to do this in an ideal world by the government. What would be examples to create that civic engagement so we can get our society into this discussion? What would be an example in an ideal world, in a new government, in an ideal world? Could we say to the new Minister of Oil and Gas to ensure we have some civic engagement to include society? It's a difficult question, huh?
Yeah, so where do parties meet each other to discuss policy themes, right? In Suriname, you used to have something like the CER. On paper it exists. I don't think it exists in practice anymore. It's because every society has different forces. You have the economic forces, you have labor, you have the private sector, and you have civil society. I think civil society is a very important force in any society, and I think in Suriname, probably they are not equipped enough and funded enough to have a voice which is heard, right? To be there all the time. So I would say that multi-stakeholder groepen and things like the CER, that's an example in Suriname to stay close to home, should be functioning. Yeah. I mean, and on paper they exist, but apparently not in practice, because then they are not funded. Excellent. Or not.
So the takeaway, het is onze maatschappelijk middenveld moet een beetje gaan versterken, ons economische raad, en daar gaan kijken hoe we ze iets meer kunnen betrekken in de discussie. Alright, SME's en local content readiness. We hebben dat een beetje van Anouk gehoord in de vorige presentatie, en daar ga ik weer Nederlands-Engels. But how do we ensure that more local businesses are ready and equipped to join the oil and gas sector? Anouk, again, your experience helps us here. And you went into your presentation, you mentioned some of the challenges. But asking you again, from your experience in the sector, what are 3 tips that we need to be ready for, and what are, again, a few challenges that you know of our sector right now that we need to overcome?
Thank you for that question. I can have the presentation again if you want. Well, like I said, one of them is thinking that no, not that one. Wait, the other one. One moment. What's my presentation? Yeah. Can I have my presentation? Yes.
Welke slide?
Nou, je gaat te ver. Ja. Oké. Door. Volgende. Yes, volgende. Ja. Volgende. Okay, yeah, like this, for instance, the contract part. And I said it as a joke, ChatGPT won't help you, but I hear everybody like, ChatGPT, this, that, it's my best friend. It's also my best friend, but for instance, like, 2 days ago, my son had Nederlands tekst. He had a toets. En, nu praat ik ook Engels-Nederlands. He had Nederlands tekst toets. And I asked ChatGPT, make up a story, because he likes airplanes and World War II. Make up a story about my son in World War II, flying planes, and make some questions with it. It's perfect like that. But not as your legal representative. Not for things like that. Not for writing your documents. It can help with some parts. What am I missing, etc. But you do need to have your documents in place. No, not for? Not for being compliant, exactly. Then there you need people for that part. You want another one? Your international certifications. Another one is what I call the cash flow readiness. You deliver your service, but you won't get paid within 45 or 90 days. Another one is, like I've said before, the documents, have them ready, because when the tender due gets in next week, Monday, then you'll see which documents they want you to upload in their Ariba or SAP.
Then I have a trick question, Anouk.
Nah?
This one is, I can see you're a bigger company, which can afford a cash flow, can afford the legal formalities to be in place. What would you advise to small and medium enterprises to be able to compete?
Like I said at the end of my presentation, work together. Look for other companies with which you can work together, because small, it's not gonna make it. But small plus small isn't just medium, it's big. Okay. And then you can do way more than just by yourself. And what I see a lot of people have, and I think I had that too in the beginning, is like me, I can do it myself, but no, it's way bigger than this. It's way bigger. Our Guyanese colleagues told us, I was in Guyana a couple of years ago, and one of them told us, there's a train coming up your way and you don't know what's gonna hit you, Suriname. Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah. So just find some other companies you can work with, share knowledge, don't be greedy, because by yourself, you're not gonna make it, you're gonna lose. And I know people don't like that sentence, but you're gonna lose if you don't work together.
Thank you, it's just honest. Thank you so much, Anouk. All right. Again, some discussion being sparked. Can we leave the discussion until the end? We're moving on, going to Erika. And Erika went to in a very emotional presentation for us, where we can see that all of these economic shifts, and it's something I didn't realize when we started the discussion in oil and gas, but it seems that it can bring stress, it will bring lifestyle inflation. We can see that in Guyana happening. People cannot even pay for housing anymore. It can look at mental health straining for workers, for families, and for communities. So we were wondering from Erika, what kind of emotional and psychological pressures can a boom like the oil sector really have in our society? And what are some specific signals that you can already see here in Suriname?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, and I'm going to do my best to answer it truthfully, and the truth is very diverse. Like I mentioned, the education level in Suriname is still the 8th grade. So we have a part of the population that is falling into the lower class, others falling into the middle class, and then we have the upper end. For every stage, for every class, there's other psychological, emotional struggles and challenges. For those that are in the lower class, they often struggle with being in survival mode. And they don't have the resources to actually be stable in life, so they are constant in survival mode. What they would have to deal with would be a bit different than the middle class. Middle class people, they can afford their bills, they don't have to juggle between jobs, which we see more in the lower class, and that brings a sort of inner peace because they can cover their costs. So their struggles would be more like marital issues or with the kids or juggling to keep the balance. And for the higher class, I think that their struggles are more with they have everything and where is there enough, and other issues that that have to do more with the internal world, greed, arrogance, walking over others, never having the enough of money, and staying on that end without giving back. I'm not saying there's a one-size-fits-all, but what I'm saying is there is a psychological, emotional struggle with having a lot as well. So everyone is struggling in a different area, in a different way.
Interesting perspective, interesting perspective.
Yeah.
So based on these different levels, and I know we didn't prepare this one, how do we become more resilient?
So being educated, again now lower class, being educated till the 8th grade does not say that there isn't potential, doesn't say anything about their intelligence.
Exactly.
It simply says that they didn't get the opportunity like everyone else to get there.
Exactly.
So I would say that for all of us that is educated to a certain degree, we can look and see what is needed for the people. We could identify what they're struggling with. And we need to be more human. And we need to see what we can do to our capacity to draag bij. Everyone doing a little bit will uiteindelijk be a lot and enough. And that's why we have to identify our own enough.
Our own enough.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Erika. I'm moving to the other side now to Vandana, who focused a lot on that economic side. And I remember we started a discussion about the Dutch disease, Vandana, which relates to the preparedness for social, but also the economic side effects and the connection between those two. Can you explain a bit more what the Dutch disease means, and are we on the brink of that, and how can we avoid that, Vandana?
So Dutch disease is one very specific economic phenomenon where a sudden influx of lots of capital, which is US dollars in this case, appreciate your own currency and therefore makes your own your industry less competitive, because then you're more expensive, right, to export. Yeah, it's funny because actually you want the currency to appreciate, but then you're less competitive to export markets. So that's the Dutch disease, per se. It's just part of what they call the resource curse, which is much bigger than the Dutch disease. And now it depends on the size of your economy, but also about diversification, and that's what we don't have. If you would ask yourself, what are we really, really good in as a country to produce ourselves? It's a difficult question, right? I mean, we have a bit of this and a bit of that, but really what is our true measure of competitiveness as Suriname? And I'm talking beyond the natural resources, of course, right? So what are we truly competitive at? So that's the way, how do you diversify, etc., to have other sectors which survive oil and gas, and because that's ultimately sustainable, right? How do you, it's nice to have the money to develop, because in fact, the resource curse is not that new, by the way. It's a 1980s term. Before that, we thought it's a good thing. The world thought it's good because you have money and poor countries don't have money to develop. So if you have money, it's a good thing, right? Usually, not us, other countries, they have population, but not money. We have we don't have either.
Don't have money.
We don't have either. But then, you see, I don't want to say new, it's 40 years, 45 years concept, but it started with the nationalization of the resource industry, the oil industry in certain countries after the 1970s the oil price spike. I don't see that happening in Suriname, but you never know. So if you stay an open economy, but then you have to be competitive in something. I'm not going to touch upon the human capital part because Erika has stressed that a lot already, and actually I try to show the same. Population, but just not quantity, but the quality, you know. And everybody is trainable and has skills, but they need a chance. Everybody needs a chance to get trained and on their skill level, whatever that may be, because a guy who can work offshore and repair an engine is worth more than me sitting in my office.
We're getting there.
Yeah?
We're getting to the skills right now. A key part of all of the presentations was education and the skills that we need. And we want to reflect on this a little bit more. Looking at the oil and gas sector, and we know the hard skills to say, the technical part, the engineering, the machinery that may be needed as well. 2 questions for Anouk. One, what would be the specific educational skills needed to be able to compete? Hard skills, but more importantly, what are the critical soft skills? You mentioned one of them already, that smile, which is a soft skill that we don't always have. What would be that package that we need to combine both those technical, harder skills and the soft skills once we lead a business?
Okay, Thank you for that very interesting question. The hard skills immediately comes to mind computer skills or computer skills.
So Microsoft, PowerPoint?
Anything, just turn on the computer. I mean, like I don't know if there are other medical people here, but even doctors and nurses, I had, and this is a no lie, I asked the doctor, turn on the computer, and he pushed something and took off the whole cap. Because it's just not what you don't get that in medicine school, computers. You get people, yes, where's the liver? Can you cut it open? That's not a problem. But the computer skills. And so now in the oil and gas, we've not been into that long, but we've done mining for a very long time. And those multinationals, they don't work with paper. They want you to work on computers. And the biggest problem that we have with personnel is that they say, yeah, I don't want to write everything in a computer. I don't understand the programs, etc. I'm a doctor. I want to see people. But if you don't write anything down, like we had one who said he saw everybody at 3 a.m. But that's a problem, because if something happens, they're gonna sue our ass right here. You see everybody at 3 a.m. So they need to be hoe zeg je dat? Structured, yeah, precise. You see this person at 3:05 p.m. till 3:15 p.m. What did you do? What did you say? What did this person say? Etc. If you didn't write it down, you didn't do it. That's what I was taught in Utrecht. So that's one. And the soft skills, okay, los van Piri TV. The Piri TV, it's so important. And we all like
everyone.
it. Smile,
Smiling.
smile.
Let's practice the soft skills.
What?
The smile.
Yeah, be on time. People who know me say, yeah, Anouk is krakeri.
And that is Surinaams.
She's always so with the time. But I really like time. If we have a date, let's go to Marriott to have some drinks. Hey, Consuelo, we have some drinks at Marriott. And Cheryl, 7 p.m. Cheryl, you know. No, Cheryl. Cheryl knows. Okay? That's the person here. Just call me when you go out, when you get out of your house. Because I really like the 7:00 p.m. A joke, I just mentioned somebody else, Consuelo. A couple of years ago, before COVID, we went to a course, remember? And the course started at 6:30 p.m. every day. But the guy who started the course, he was late every time. So what we couldn't be late, we couldn't. So we were too much on time, and we were like walking and okay, can I get you now? No, let's wait. And just waiting at home to get late, because otherwise we would be there, the door wasn't open, and you stand there and wait for the guy, and you erger isrefi. So that's something. Just be on time. If you say you're gonna do something, do that. It's
mindset.
Something.
It's
the
mindset.
mindset, exactly. So that's the one, the computer and the mindset.
I think it's interesting because we were thinking of a master's in engineering, computer sciences. That's what
this is simple. And if you want to see my phone, I have 12 alarms at this moment. You know, Monday, 12:25. My alarm goes for the meeting for 12:30. On Tuesday, it's 12:55. It's for the meeting from 1 o'clock, and so it goes on and on. Tuesday at 4:30, it goes because my son has to go to wiskundebeles. 4:40, it goes because we need to drive now, etc. The alarms. So you just be on time.
So that's a good point. So some basic skills we can start looking into now to be tender ready, besides, of course, the regulations, besides having some investment, besides working together, is starting to get our computer skills ready, smile more. One more key.
Typing.
Typing is computer
Typing
skills.
lessons. Do typing lessons, because if you type like
And being on
nangatufina,
time.
it's too slow. You know, it's too slow. You do
So
the
basics.
typing lessons. If
Basics.
you want some, send us an email, because we send it to everybody, my kids, my personal, everybody does typing lessons if they start working at health control services.
Yeah.
So very basic. It seems far-fetched, but it is the reality sometimes. So it's timing, basic computer and typing skills. Erika, we were thinking of mindset, because basically everything Anouk mentioned, being on time, smiling, it's all about having that growth mindset to start investing in yourselves to be ready. You're a transformational coach. How can we get people into that mindset to start making these real shifts to be ready?
So we're human beings, and we are conscious of what we do. But when emotions get the best of us, emotions is behind the wheel in everything we do. So if we don't program ourselves mentally for what we want, we are going to be a product of our triggers. So discipline, unlike emotions, require consistency. And I think that the best thing we can do for ourselves is ask ourselves what we want, what is the standard we want for ourselves, what do we want to achieve, and practice discipline. Whether you slept well or not, whether you're sick or not, if you're not like really plat op bed, take control of your action and just practice being disciplined and persistent and consistent. And that's how we help ourselves get to the next level again and again and again. Because if we practice just being in the moment only, emotions will be behind the wheel, because sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. But when we cultivate a behavior that revolves around discipline, we will be achieving what we want to achieve. So I would say that that would be it.
Do you feel your question is answered? You said,
Maar dat is het ook, maar dat is het.
En dat struggelen nog steeds ermee. Want kijk, ik ben iemand, ik maak me echt zorgen om de nieuwe generatie. En bijvoorbeeld zeggen, ga ze maar, waarom maak je je druk? Kijk naar jezelf, snap je dat het goed gaat met jou. Maar als ik me niet zorgen maak om deze jongeren te motiveren van, ga naar school, doe wat. Hebben wij een verloren generatie waar ik, wanneer ik ziek ben om naar de dokter te gaan over 10 jaar. Ja. Wie gaat mij helpen? Wie gaat ons helpen? En geloof me, bij mij en bij mijn moeder in de buurt, één Frans zegen. Dat is echt een verloren generatie. Dus ik zou blij zijn misschien als u daar zou kunnen adopteren.
Is goed. Ik eens. Ja, is doorzetting. Kijk, bij de jongeren vandaag denken ze, bij de youngsters today, they really think that they know better. And I think if I look at myself as a parent, I also have work that I need to do in building consistency and being a different type of mom for my kids. I mean, once my kids say, Mom, ik heb geen zin, en blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, okay, is goed, en dan doe ik het wel. But really and truly, I am also contributing to them not having enough discipline. And I need to take accountability for that. And I think that all of us need to take a look in the mirror and see, where are we lacking in creating structure? Where are we lacking in becoming the bee and giving them a piece of our mind and having them feel the consequences of not taking action? Mm-hmm. And I think that we need to find a better balance. And I'm not saying that everyone is in my boat, but I myself need to take better action in how I reinforce what I say needs to get done. So I think that everyone needs to work towards finding that balance between being lenient and being disciplined and enforcing the rule or enforcing the action that needs to be taken, and looking between the fingers.
All right, thank you. This is really the start of our discussion already. We have another 26 to 30 minutes. So if you have questions, any discussion points, comments or opinions, het mag ook in het Nederlands. We zullen vertalen als je comfortabeler voelt. Arvin gaat ons helpen met de microfoons aan de zijkanten. Ik loop ook wel naar je toe. Geweldig. Nog een vraag? Je hebt een luide stem. Ga maar even staan. En eventueel als je het specifiek naar iemand wil richten, mag ook. Het hoeft niet, mag.
Mijn naam is en ik hoor men praten over soft skills, snap je dat van computer en zo. Ik studeer business informatics en IT bij UNASAF, afrondende fase. En ik wilde iets gaan doen met landbouw. Dus afstudeeronderwerp. Maar toen kwam oil and gas. Ik dacht van nee, ik wil dan iets te maken hebben met oil and gas. Waardoor ik bijvoorbeeld een local content, een afstudeeronderwerp zou kunnen kiezen wat echt zou kunnen bijdragen aan deze sector. En daarom ben ik hier gekomen om te kunnen kijken van, snap je, om te kunnen netwerken, om aan te geven van kijk, dit zou best zijn. Want als we praten van de jongeren, educatie, dan is het best wel belangrijk om dan de juiste keuze te maken. Want ik wil niet gaan afstuderen voor een onderwerp en dan zit het gewoon daar. Snapt u? Ja, dat is het zo een beetje.
Anouk? Omdat ze aanhaalde computer skills. Ze is al bezig. En welk onderwerp zou beter passen? Maar we kunnen allemaal antwoorden hoor. Vandana, als je misschien wil complementeren. Erika.
Wat is die vraag precies?
Ik stel deze vraag, het gaat niet alleen om mij. Er zijn heel veel studenten die ook er mee zitten. Dus een afstudeeronderwerp, een plek waar bijvoorbeeld zouden dan plekken beschikbaar zijn voor de studenten om te werken in oil and gas. Want als we praten over educaten, het moet niet zo zijn van we gaan studeren en dan zitten wij te popelen. We kunnen ook geen ruimte krijgen om onze bijdrage te leveren in de sector. Dus nu voor de studenten die in de afrondende fase zijn, welke onderwerpen zou echt van eminent belang zijn om te kunnen afstuderen?
Oké, dus aangezien we eigenlijk in alle sectoren in Suriname meer mensen en qualified mensen kunnen gebruiken, wil ik bijna zeggen, het maakt niet uit, maar even om het toe te lichten. De oil and gas sector zelf is kapitaalsintensief, maar niet per se arbeidsintensief. Ik heb het over de eerste tier 1 contractors, right? Maar die besteden werk uit. Bijvoorbeeld, Anouk hier is in een health sector, maar ze hoeft niet aan oil and gas te leveren. Ze kan aan any sector producten en diensten leveren. Dus met of zonder, she will survive, right? Snap je? Maar ook de hospitality sector, ze had het over restaurants, de education sector, snap je? De toerisme sector. Al die sectoren gaan een increased demand hebben. Dus ik zou zeggen, blijf true to yourself en wat je passie is. Want dat is zo belangrijk, dat je je werk leuk vindt. Zodat je long term dat ook, ja, Erika, de pleidooi om, ja, bij jezelf ook toch? Van hey, wie ben je? Truly to yourself. Want ik denk dat dat heel veel uitmaakt om minder stress te ervaren. Dus in jouw specifiek geval, je bent in een technische richting. Doe wat je passie is, want er is in de hele breedte, ook in de, by the way, agrosector, ontzettend veel demand. Straks meer demand voor producten, maar dan terug naar Anouk, wel certified, weet je? Certified, je gaat certifications moeten hebben om te deliveren. En scale, so we have to team up. Maar anyway, dus ik heb niet een antwoord op ga hierin afstuderen, want het, ik zou zeggen, anything is good that you are passionate about.
Mag ik aanvullen op jou? Wat ik zie, of wat wij zien dat er vooral nodig is de wil. Mensen, ze vinden dat ze willen, maar wanneer je het voor ze zet, dan is it's too much. Bijvoorbeeld, gewoon eigen ervaring bij ons binnen het bedrijf. Als je deze en deze cursus volgt, dan krijg je een promotie en dan ga je meer verdienen. Wat voor cursus? Zo. Hoe lang duurt het? 2 maanden moet je meelopen. Ja, maar het is te veel. Krijg je dat soort dingen. Iets anders, we zijn nu bezig, of onlangs waren we bezig met sollicitatiegesprekken. Hoger niveau, hè? En dus laat me zeggen hoger geschoold. En die persoon vraagt, wij werken van 8 tot 4. Maar zou ik ook om 8:30 kunnen beginnen? En ik ben eigenlijk gewend om 1:30 naar huis te gaan. Dan denk ik, maar, ik bedoel, come on. Je was erbij. Ik bedoel, come on. Dus waar ik me vaak aan erger en waar ik het met mijn vriendinnen over heb, is mensen, ze zeggen, bla bla bla. Ze willen, maar willen ze het hier? Willen ze het echt? En willen ze het werk ervoor doen? Wanneer mensen... Nee, laat me dat stukje laten. Anders ga ik door.
Want eigenlijk weer terug op die mindset en discipline. Mindset. Andere vragen, comments? Alsjeblieft staan, even voorstellen.
Ja, goedenavond. Ik ben Tamiro Landberg. Ik heb een beetje griepers, mijn stem is een beetje funny. Maar ik heb wel een vraag aan mevrouw Gangaram Panday. Vanuit een... Dus economie is eigenlijk een tool. Toch? Economie is een wetenschap, maar ook een tool om iets te bereiken voor mensen. Want aan het einde van de dag komt het neer op een sociologisch probleem, denk ik. Mijn vraag is specifiek. Als je de populatie verdeelt in lower class, middle class en upper class, is het dan niet een beter idee om dan te definiëren wat lower class is, wat middle class is en wat upper class is, ingecalculeerd de gelden die je gaat krijgen van de oliesector. En op basis daarvan dan ga je dan een plan uitschrijven vanuit government level verder. Dat lijkt me een beetje, makkelijk is misschien niet zo goed gezegd, maar het lijkt me een beetje strategisch beter, omdat je target is heel specifiek en alles dat je dan doet is dan gemikt op die target. Wat denkt u daarvan?
Dus ik weet niet of ik je helemaal goed begrijp, maar je bedoelt een definiëren in money brackets, bedoel je dat?
Nee, dus in economische termen heb je de poverty line, maar ik zeg, stel voor je hebt een middle class prosperity line. Ik weet niet of het bestaat, maar ik heb het verzonnen. Een prosperity line.
We hebben iemand van ABS, zie je dat? Wat heb je in Suriname nodig om een goed leven te hebben? Het is gedefinieerd ergens, toch?
Ja,
zoveel dollar per dag.
Ja, maar voor zover ik het weet is het alleen op...
je hebt een poverty line.
Ja, maar het is een prosperity line op een middle class. Want het probleem dat je gaat krijgen is dat die influx gaat vaak naar de higher class. Waardoor maar die 80% van je, die... Wat doe je daarmee? Dus ik denk dat die definitie moet komen als het al bestaat. Want
kijk, je kunt het definiëren op papier, maar wat is het dat you're trying to achieve? Toch? Je wil eigenlijk je noemde het inclusive, toch?
Ja.
Inclusive. Maar hoe kom je aan inclusive? Ik denk niet dat mensen, misschien wel, hè, handouts willen, misschien wel, ik weet het niet, want nu heb ik een assumptie gemaakt, toch? Een handout betekent, je komt elke maand een cheque halen, toch? Dus dat zie je mindset, hè? Weer mindset. Ik denk nothing comes without effort and earning. En het is heel moeilijk om te zeggen, eigenlijk is het ook een klein beetje, ik wil niet zeggen ouderwets, van je bent deze klasse en tot deze limiet, hè? Wat zoveel dollar per dag bij je middelklas of niet. Maar het zijn gewoon economische feiten. Wat heb je nodig om een goed leven te hebben? En ik neem aan dat dat gedefinieerd is in, ik kijk even naar ABS.
Je bedoelt met die link in de oil and gas, als ik me niet vergis.
Nee,
je zegt lower class, middle class, upper class. Oh,
maar ik had het erover. Kijk, als je gewoon zegt van luister, je hebt een minimum baseline. Ja. Dus om het een beetje plat te leggen, wins je Pina, dit is de baseline van Pina.
Ja, dat is de poverty line.
Dit is de poverty line, toch? En dan, als je bij middelklas, ja, je hebt relatieproblemen, je weet niet welke tweede auto welke je moet kopen, hoe vaak je op reis moet gaan, whatever. Maar dit is jouw middelklas prosperity baseline. Als je dat al hebt, dan lijkt het me...
Dus jij bedoelt, om de poverty line, is nu een definitie, toch? In Suriname, het wordt gecalculeerd, ik weet niet wat het is, of het 6 of 7 US dollar is per dag, toch? Het is 6 of 7 US dollar. En ik ken die hogere niet,
Ik
maar
ook
jij
niet.
zegt introduceer dat. Maar wat is het doel precies om te weten hoe het verdeeld wordt?
Het
Maar
doel-
dan moet je kunnen meten, hè? Kijk, nu al, de informele sector is moeilijk, hè? Want ik bedoel, ja, want hoe meet je bijvoorbeeld de informele sector waar ze zijn qua inkomen? Zijn ze middelklas of niet? Of waar, maakt niet uit waar ze zijn, toch? Usually, om toch even terug te komen op middelklas, los van de definitie, want ergens wil jij een soort lat leggen naar boven of zo.
Nee, het is geen lat. Het is
Nee,
een,
een definitie, een lijn van, een soort, net als de poverty line, weer een tweede. Ik lijkt me, oké, ik bedoel, ik heb er geen, van, ja, waar zou het moeten liggen, nu en in de toekomst. Ik denk een beetje, hoe bereken je dat, weet ik niet. Maar ik denk wel dat een gezonde middenklasse is die citizens die je zoekt, die participeren. Want above a certain line, people care maybe less, right?
exactly, precies.
So that's another
Je
problem,
krijgt
that they care
je
less.
krijgt, waarom ik het zeg, je krijgt diminishing returns na een bepaald punt. Dat hebben ze uitgerekend in de Scandinavische eilanden. Maar dat is omdat ze die definitie hebben. Ze weten van, luister, iedereen die boven de $80.000 verdient per jaar. Ja, als je daar nou 180.000 maakt, het gaat niet heel veel uitmaken in je persoonlijke ervaring. Je kan misschien nog een tweede auto erbij kopen.
Okay.
Maar ik denk dat
Nee,
dat...
dus het is een te definiëren. Dan
Klopt.
definieert
Dus het
iemand
is iets waar we
zoveel
nog naar
factor,
moeten
ja.
kijken wanneer we gaan naar oil en gas. Om te gaan kijken als we definities kunnen plaatsen in lower class, middle class, upper class, als ik me niet vergis. Dus we hebben nog wat werk aan de winkel. Zijn er nog andere vragen, discussiepunten? Was hier een vraag ook?
Nou, goedenavond, ik ben Cheryl Pengel. Mijn specialisme is HR. En vanuit dat kader heb ik dus een vraag. Als ik me niet vergis is er een fonds destijds opgericht waar dus de opbrengsten van oil en gas in verzameld zouden worden. En dat dan naar de gemeenschap zou doorcijpelen. Ik kan het verkeerd hebben hoor, corrigeren jullie me. Maar als dat er niet is, zou dat niet zo een fantastisch idee zijn om meteen de mentale, de educatie en economische ontwikkeling op gang te brengen of te verbeteren?
Ik weet niet of jij bedoelt de Sovereign Wealth Fund, Spaar- en Stabiliteitsfonds Suriname. Ik weet niet of je dat bedoelt. Want dit is niet voor dat doel. Oh, jij bedoelt royalty voor iedereen. Dat is wat anders. Nee, je zegt $750, dat is... Ja, wat bedoel je?
Nee, dus
Ja,
een
toch?
fonds waar dus de opbrengsten gegenereerd uit oil en gas in gestort worden. En daar een commissie zit. Wie in die commissie zou moeten zitten, zou ik niet weten. Ja.
Dus dat is het Spaar- en Stabiliteitsfonds, of Sovereign Wealth Fund. Maar dat is een heel ander doel. Sorry, ik bedoel, dat is om die Dutch disease te managen. En om transparantie en accountability af te dwingen. Want als het er naartoe vloeit, zijn er regels. Dus governance, toch? Again, governance. Wat vloeit erin? Transparant. Wat vloeit eruit? Volgens welke regels? Dan heb je een regel voor de fiscal balance. Hoeveel gaat naar de government budget om het niet te blowen? Want wat je vaak ziet, dat landen die plotseling rijk worden, dat de government sector het verdubbelt. Toch? Maar dan heb je regels om de hoe noem je dat, begrotingsdiscipline, om de government budget te voeden, om development te creëren, maar niet om een substituut te zijn voor het ministerie van Financiën, want dat is niet de bedoeling. Snap je? Dus het is niet een ontwikkelingsbank of zo waar jij aanklopt voor een studielening of zo. Dat is niet dat fonds, dat is
Maar
niet
het
de
is een voorstel.
SWF. Perfect.
Thank you for that reminder. So sorry. We're switching back to English.
We're switching back to English.
Yes.
Oh, nee.
Or
I'm kidding.
And then we translate.
I apologize for my bad English, my bakba English. I have a question. It's a very simple one, I assume. But is there a country similar to Suriname with a small population, culturally wise, and also a underdeveloped nation, which has been through to the same thing or the same situation after finding a source of oil or any type of natural resources that succeeded into transforming its country from an underdeveloped country to a first world nation?
Well, I'm not totally sure if there is no. The problem is it's never totally alike, right? Apple for apple. Because who looks really like Suriname, toch? Want it's difficult to totally compare. But okay, if you take, we cannot take Norway as an example because relatively speaking, they were small in Europe, but they were not comparable to us in the sense of, again, democratic institutions. He's talking about Guyana, but you are talking about they have done better. And I don't say that Guyana has done that bad. We, of course, are pointing out to inflation, yeah? But if you look at objective economic analysis, they are not doing bad. Let me say that way. They are not doing bad. Managing, again, that much of money suddenly is a lot. I think if you take it broader than oil and gas, I think that, is it Botswana? The diamond country, I think it's Botswana. I think it's Botswana. Diamond producing, they're pretty small. But okay, nobody is so small as us, right? Those countries have a population. I mean, some islands are smaller, but so it is not totally comparable. I know a few have not done that well. Like Equatorial Guinea, they have absolutely, that's exactly what you don't want to do. They had less than 1 million people, so it comes close to us, right? But that's the example you don't want to take. You would have to use ChatGPT for the better example. But the lessons learned are there, and I think we have to pick and choose what would work in our context. Yeah, I think that it's Botswana. I'm sorry? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think hard. I'm trying to think hard, which is so small. You want to compliment? Some people are talking about the Middle East countries. They have small indigenous populations. You can say they have done well because they are rich. They have another policy. They import millions of working, the labor forces, millions of people who have different rights. And no, who will judge is that a good example or not? So you could say that Kuwait or Qatar, you know, I mean, Qatar has a few 100,000 people, less than us, huh? By the way, nice that you brought it up. Yeah? Yes, they were poor. They were poor, and there were padal moervissers allemaal. And but you see, it's a model to think about who do we want to be and become, because indeed they are rich. Maybe that's a good example. But again, well, we don't know. That's the debate that we would be having. What do we want as Suriname and how do we define the vision?
Er zijn hier een aantal vragen. Eerst, u was eigenlijk eerst. Mag ik straks bij u terugkomen? Dan, eerst uw hand, dan u en dan die mevrouw je voor. En dan omdat u van Piers bent als laatst. Ja. Ja. In English, please. So sorry again. We went back to Dutch. Oh.
Hello everyone, my name is Farinas Margaret and I have a question. So I think this is a question for everyone. What is your perspective on decentralizing existing government institutions, especially in the light of the current political instabilities that we have, because every 5 years we have elections here in Suriname? What is your view, and which institutions could potentially be decentralized and why would that be?
You would need to be a bit more specific. Mm-hmm. Call a few which you think that would...
No, I want it unbiased. So from your point of view, from Erika and from Anouk.
When you say decentralized, it means on another level than the government, right? The only true, and you're not talking about make them semi-independent. So I'm trying to understand your question. For example, we have, it's not decentralized, it's semi-independent, the AIS, right? The MAS, they are institutions, right? Call of UNIMOS is now NMA. It's a semi-independent institution. But if you say decentralized, it's not decentralized, they are national. If you talk about decentralized, we had 15 or 20 years ago, decentralisatieproject Suriname, voor wie dat nog weet, Nikeri, Wanica. I think decentralization is good for democracy. It brings it closer to citizens. However, to be truly decentralized, you need bestuurlijke vrijheid and financieel. And then if you cannot fund yourself, it becomes again political from the top. So I don't know if what...
From your
what,
perspective, Vandana, do you have some kind of institution in mind, and you would say like, okay, this one would be, from your point of view, the one?
To be decentralized?
Yes, and why that one?
So again, a district system is the closest you get to what I call decentraal bestuur. Hè? Dus geen gemeente, wij hebben 10 districten in Suriname. Again, we have a scale issue. But I do think it is good for democracy. En dan blijf ik bij districten. Because everything else, there is no skill to decentralize institutions. I don't know what you mean, like government bodies like milieu of elektriciteit. I don't see how that would work in such a small scale. Maar nogmaals, op districtenniveau, perfect. Because then they might, if they would have resources, they could take care of the schools. Because they are closer to the community. You know, the immediate needs of those community would be better served, I think, in a decentralized. Het is gewoon bestuur, maar geen instituties. Ik weet niet precies welke jij misschien bedoelt. So. Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. My name is Jorell. I have a question for Vandana. Building on what we've said about Guyana, and my observation with Guyana and what has been shared is that the cost of living has increased more than what they would potentially want. I would say above double digits. Is there a scenario possible for Suriname when comes first oil that we, in some way or form, don't need to have increase in cost of living above double digits? If that's possible, if it's not, what do we need to do to prevent it, or what can we do to make it as livable as possible?
So, who's the economist in the room? Who's doing modeling in Suriname? No, really. This is who is modeling for Suriname? Modeling scenarios. Is Plan Bureau the institute? You're talking about institutes? Not to be decentralized, you cannot have 10 plan bureaus. Are they modeling? I don't even, I think they are, but they use, I think, assumptions which are just historic trends without catering for future developments. Is it, and double digit means 10%, more than 10% al. 10% is al, it's already difficult, huh? It is possible, but you need to produce something of your own, right? So what are we, that was my question to you guys. What are we producing domestically to deliver to the society, but to insulate a little bit or to, from currency appreciation? So usually domestic production for the domestic market can help there, but what are we good at producing? You see? It's
a scenario.
There is an answer there.
Is there a
At
scenario?
some degree, I think it's inevitable, but you can mitigate it. So it's the degree to which, yeah, the effect. Yeah?
Connection with the gentleman in the back asked about the population. So how can we mitigate that the lower class population, that it still stays livable for them? Is my follow-up question.
Yeah, it's you want to actually solve all problems of Suriname at once, right? Right? But again, what do people need
With
to
one
have
person.
a good, what do people need? First of all, a basic education to have employment. So that's one. But it's not enough. Affordable housing. But forever we have been talking about this in Suriname. Affordable housing. If everybody die een kans krijgt, huh? People are trainable, have skills. So if you have a basic education and you have a decent work, people will work up and then their children will be better off, right? But you need a few things like affordable housing. And that is not something that an individual can take care of. Toegang tot, toch? Toegang tot land, kapitaal of een lening. Yeah?
I have this simple idea. I don't know. I proposed it to a couple of friends, including him. And everybody shuts down my idea, but I think it could work. Affordable housing. The government is not able to provide the housing because they don't have the skills to build it. It just doesn't happen. Now everybody in Suriname is is building houses. Everybody is thinking of the expats, and the apartments are coming, the hotel complexes are coming. My idea was just, okay, if you want to get permission to build a hotel, or you want a permission to build an apartment complex, then you need to put like 10% of the houses or 20% of everything you build, you need to build for local too. And those locals, those are like going into a stichting, and so because the locals will not be able to afford it. So if you can build a hotel with 200 rooms or 250 rooms, you can build 25 homes for locals. The government provides the land, so you get the land, you don't have that, you just have to build the houses and give them to the government so that they can distribute to the people.
I think I heard that the next peers might include some government ministers. Oil and gas minister now, education, social sector. So maybe in ID peers.
We're working on that. Good evening. My name is Raul Chonyo Shong. First of all, I wanted to compliment the moderator and the panel. I mean, they've been wonderful, you know. So yeah, give it up for the all-female panel. I mean, yo. I had two quick questions because I know we're running over time, and apologies because, you know, time, we're on a time. So it's for all of the panel members. One is about local content. That's it. All right, then we have to go for the drinks. We have I don't know about y'all, but you know, I'm feeling for drinks. Okay, my question is for the panel. I mean, one of the things is going to be very critical, and I just spoke to a gentleman from Guyana, and it was about, you know, the local content, and it's been very much talked about, you know, during the past, I don't know, 18 months or 24 months. I would like to hear of each of the panel members what their vision is on local content, and maybe we can take that into the next peers professional when we invite the newly appointed ministers to have a brainstorm about this. But it would be good to, if you guys, you know, you women start with your vision and thoughts on local content.
Good question. They didn't want to go into it.
Anouk, let's start us off with Anouk.
Raul, tell us what is local content for you? What do you mean? What do you want?
So there is different levels of defining how you can, you know, measure local content, but it's the participation of the Surinamese companies, people, the local people, to participate in the wealth boom that we are expecting, right? And if you look in Guyana, they have different rules, and they have the 51% ownership of government. And I'm not saying that's correct, because I don't know. I mean, it's very complex and it's very difficult to monitor. But that's why I'm asking you, as the panel, as our esteemed panel, to see what are your thoughts. And you know, and there's no right or wrong answer about this, right? It's just trying to get this discussion going to see the civic dialogue or the civil dialogue between multiple stakeholders that are active in the industry.
Raul, I'm just a doctor. Okay. I am managing director too, but this, I really have no idea, because I don't know if the 51% is good or not. If it's for you, for your country, I guess it's good. You want Surinamese companies, Surinamese people to excel, to enjoy this whole thing, and not, of course, other people can come, but you don't want people from other countries who are already doing very well coming here and taking it all, because most of them are bigger companies. You see them at the CEOs, right? Like if you're there, we have these small companies, and then the bigger ones come, the bigger health controls who are all over the world. They can stay away. Let's just so no, I again, maybe it's disrespectful, but I'm just a doctor. I really don't have no idea how to do that. How to do that. The 51% sounds good. I would make it 90% ownership, but I'm a little bit more communist like Consuelo, with her 20% housing. So yeah, Erika?
I still don't understand the question.
A quick one. This is you can again talk for an hour about local content. What is it? What is it trying to achieve, right? So in fact, it's the spending from. If we again take one big project like Ramorgo, the capex is $12 billion, and thereafter you have OPEX for a very long time. And how much of that money can be spent on procuring local goods and services and employing local people? So no, it's a supply and demand. Well, sorry guys, it's the economy. It's supply and demand. There will be a natural preference to buy locally produced goods and services because usually it's already cheaper because an expat is a cost to that company as well. Now you can think you need to give them a stick, you want to manage them with a stick by demanding A and B, or you can cooperate for a scale. And you can not only cooperate because we think they will do it by themselves, no, by encouraging actively. For example, there are local content plans, there is local content reporting to us, but it's not just the top skill, there are highly specialized technical services, which you don't even have to think of doing in Suriname. And by the way, it's not only Suriname, FPSOs are only built in China, Singapore, Korea, okay? A small one maybe in Brazil or in Sardinia, in Italy. That's not what you're gonna do, right? So you're gonna define the different tiers. Local content is also health control. They are delivering goods and services to a company which is a subcontractor of a contractor of Total. It's perfectly fine. Maybe she needs help in scaling up or in the cash flow issues, access to finance. But that is Suriname. What are we good at? What do we want to do to ease ease of doing business? Right? We are 162 on the index of 190. Come on, people. So that's not a foreign problem. That is a Suriname problem, regardless of oil and gas. So I think we are such a small scale, and I've said it before, it's niet goed gevallen. Maar we are such a small scale that over-regulating might counter. De 51 rules, het werkt ook corruptie in de hand. Je krijgt middleman en die middleman is niet deze dame, die middleman is een, ja, oké. Iemand met connecties. Come on guys, toch? Dus we moeten realistisch zijn. We have to be realistic and let's get going and then measure. And if you measure what you can deliver and where you want to grow, then if you want to put quantitative rules, we have rules by the way, we have the petroleum law. The petroleum law already says preference of locally produced goods and services and preference of qualified local workforce. So we need to qualify them. But that's our problem. I would be ashamed that foreign people have to come and educate our children. Come on, guys, that's our job. Yeah, toch?
I have a question. Maybe Vandana, I have a question. Maybe you could help with that. Yeah, no. You got me thinking. What about when you go to the supermarket, you see yuca fries from Brazil or from Thailand, or frango chicken from Saudi Arabia or whatever, wherever. It's a halal chicken from Turkey or wherever. We have those things too. We have a lot of cassava. We have a lot of yuca, and you can make yuca fries, just tilo, okay? So what about, is it possible, I don't know, maybe I am really a communist. Is it possible to just not import those things that we are able to produce ourselves? Why can't we just stop it? You know? I'm like, yeah. and don't buy yuca, don't even import yuca fries, just go buy cassava, bora cassava, baka cassava. Trump, yes, I'm a Trump. Trump. Yeah, terrorists. Make Suriname great again, yeah.
One more question, please.
Good evening. Good evening, my name is Monica. And first of all, I want to say I love so much this country. Ik hou van jou, Suriname. Yeah. I am from Peru and I am living in this country for more than 15 years. Yeah, a beija. And well, I am most in the Horeca business. And what can I say? I would like to talk is about most. We can talk now about financial, no? About compare maybe this country with others, but actually Suriname is unique. I've been in different places, and this country is unique because no matter where you are from, no matter which race you are or anything, you guys can live in peace in this country. And this is so nice. We respect each other, like if the Muslim doing this, or the Indosani is that, or the Chinese, or the Latin, it doesn't matter. We can live in peace in this country, and this is beautiful, really. My question, please, my question is, there is a situation in this country, because I've been experiencing many situations at work with the mentality, the culture actually, yes. The medium class and lower, as Erika was explaining, is, I face up different situations, but it's a culture, and this is the point, because we are talking about finance, we are talking about different things, but if the staff, that is the medium staff, not management we're talking medium, that is the huge here, and this coming is big, and we will need a lot of that kind of people, a different kind of business, different kind. So if they are not prepared, mentally, emotional, stable, how they can focus at work? Because I experienced that. I had people that I have to, husband came, it was waiting for her to beat her because some problem. Another case, I have a mother telling the daughter, please go and find a husband, and then almost throw her to someone and throw her from the house. I mean, and I had to deal with this situation. I got the staff also that I have to even show them how to manners. Please say thank you. Please smile. Please this. Simple things. And this is the point here. Because if you don't have these people really emotional, mentally stable, they cannot focus at work. They are coming with problems, with family problems at work. They cannot focus at work, of course. So the question is, if we know this is a big problem, or not a big problem, but it's a major problem in this country, how do the government have some strategies, some programs, something to do with the communities, not only in Paramaribo, I'm talking about, inside also the country, that I know also many people from inside coming here to the main city, to Paramaribo, to work. So how the government can face up this situation or help to decrease this, because of course nothing can be 100%, of course. And so that is my question.
Thank you, and also for the praise for Suriname. We sadly have no one from the government in the panel, but Erika may talk about some of the resilience that we may need to build, but also the fact that we're actually living in survival mode in Suriname, which is another consequence.
Yeah, so for a long time I was just listening to the questions and the answers, and I was really pondering on, what is really needed. And I think it takes a lot of creativity to think outside of the box on things that are necessary, because we do have facts, right? We know that in order to survive, let me change that word. We have been surviving. A big part of the economy has been in survival mode, so we have been surviving. So we want to get to a level where we are no longer survival and just simply living, right? Living life. When we're in survival mode, we can't think clearly. There's literally, if I have to go in a little bit biological, we work with a different part of the brain. The moment that we are out of this part of the brain, we get more in the emotional part and we can think more with the more leadership mind. And I think that there's a strategy needed to upgrade the literacy. So mental literacy, emotional literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy. Some people don't know how to work with money. And even if they get the money, they're going to be spending the money. So when people are emotional, they can't think straight. They're going to be on reactive mode. And I don't want to go too deep in this because then I could really talk a full hour on this again. But we're all conditioned in a certain way. Our upbringing has a lot to do with how we stand today. And I mean, I've had a situation where someone told me, an older guy, that his mom taught him he needs to be able to take stuff from the job and bring home. It's from work you need to have it. And I mean...
So stealing.
Stealing. And it's not that this person is not educated. He is till a certain degree. But this is what we're dealing with. We need to understand that sometimes people can't help it because the people they look up to the most, their parents, is the one who's feeding the wrong information. So we need to level with each other, and we need to be able to hold mirrors up in a compassionate way that people can look at themselves and take accountability for the things that they could do different. And from the government, I mean, let's think out of the box here. I think that when I went to study in Holland, I was confronted with this Dutch system. People that can't speak Dutch need to follow Dutch lessons in order to integrate into society. I think that something like that could be implemented here, where we say, well, hey, listen, we see that this is the starting point in the economy with a certain class. For you to be able to do this, this is required. You need to have education in this field, this mental emotional lessons. I personally offer a whole course on this. I'm sure that there's there's the kids university that teaches children, on financial literacy. Those same lessons that they teach to the children, they could teach to adults that don't know how to manage the money. It's about the education. They didn't have the education, so we can educate people on all of these literacies. So I think that we need to become creative, join forces, set up projects, and carry them out, because the vision is a better Suriname for all. We are as strong, the nation is as strong as its weakest link.
Thank you. Thank you, Erika. So we're gonna have to wrap it up. The questioner answering, are we ready for the oil and gas boom? So 60 seconds, Anouk, are we ready for the oil and gas boom? Are we ready? Suriname. Is Suriname ready for the oil and gas boom? 60 seconds, answer.
Almost.
Almost.
We're trying to be ready.
Trying.
I can do the presentation again, but no, I think especially the people, the people who are here, we're trying. We're doing our best, and yes, we're gonna make it.
Okay,
Let's be
Erika,
positive.
60 seconds.
Oh yeah, and together we're very strong.
60 seconds. What's the most important for us to get emotionally ready?
For us to get emotionally ready, we need to understand ourselves and our triggers. And
Thank
we
you.
need to take accountability for the way we react, because we need to learn to respond better.
Thank you. Vandana, 60 seconds. What do we need to be economically ready?
It's not only economically, but to be ready, and as country, the future of Suriname, I would say we need one national vision, clearly formulated and how you call it, owned by several stakeholders in the society, that survives political cycles, so long term, and we stick to that. And then you stick to that. It's something that we buy into, and it doesn't change every 2 or 3 years. And then Rudolf Elias calls it a roadmap. You can call it whatever, the national vision, a roadmap that clearly states this is what we want to become, and this is how we're going to execute it. And it's still going to be challenging, but then at least we have a vision. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I have a round of applause for Erika, Anouk, and Vandana? On behalf of the peer organization, thank you for joining us in this conversation. It was my pleasure to be your moderator tonight, and I invite you all for drinks.
Well done, well done. What? Hello, the sponsored drinks.